Well, good day, everyone. Happy Friday. This is Director Ivy again coming to you live. Yes. I hope everybody is doing well today. Today's topic is, can you be a client through Medicaid LTSS and be able to travel with your caregiver? Well, if that is a question for you, then you want to stay tuned because I got the answers for you. Right now, look at this short little commercial, and I'll be right back to you. Did y'all like that commercial? Okay, so as we get started, I want y'all to make sure you hashtag live, hashtag rebroadcast. If you're on our YouTube, make sure you go to our YouTube, subscribe and like us because we want to see how y'all doing out there. We want to see how we're helping you. We want to see if we're able to help you. You got to reply back to us. We can all be on the same page. So as we get started, on this fabulous Friday. Yeah. So again, the topic is, can you be a client through the Medicaid LTSS program and be able to travel with your caregiver? Well, yes, I am here to tell you, yes, you can. You do not have to feel like you're stuck. You do not have to feel like you can't go anywhere. So many times there are family caregivers out there and clients, because the family caregiver is actually taking care of the client, which is usually one of their loved ones. And they feel like they can't go anywhere. We even get that question, where we were getting that question, even with our caregivers and our clients, like, we want to do this, we want to do that. Yeah, you absolutely can do that. You can still live life, of course, doing what you're supposed to do, keeping things and doing things in decency and order. But yeah, first off, you want to be a client, you want to be linked up with Medicaid. You need to be a member in the long-term care Medicaid program. Either say LTC, some people refer to it as LTC, which is long-term care, or as we quote it, LTSS, which is long-term services, So yeah, you just got to get linked up. The client needs to be a member of the long-term care Medicaid program. And those companies, those MCOs, um, are managed care organizations, and that's Delaware First, AmeriHealth Caritas, or Highmark Health Options. Do you have one of those insurances? Because if you do, you definitely want to stay tuned with me so you can hear how, yeah, you can still go out and live life. You can do things. We realize that, some people have maybe some issues going on that kind of prevent them from their typical ADLs, which again, we consider is called activities of daily living, and you need a little bit of help. But needing a little bit of help doesn't mean that you have to stop living life. You can do both. You can definitely do both. You always want to consult with your doctor. So in order to make sure that if you're not in the program, then what's the first thing you want to do? You need to see your primary care physician, who we always say is your best friend, because when you need something, it typically starts with your primary caregiver. So you don't want to be out of the loop with your doctor. So then when you go to tell them, hey, I need a script, I need some extra help, I want to get in this long-term care Medicaid program, you don't want them saying, well, I haven't even seen you in such and such years. So your PCP, your primary care physician, can be your BFF. You definitely want to see them at least annually, if nothing else, because you want to get your physicals and all of that good stuff. You want to make sure that you're, in right standings. You don't want nothing to come up on you unnecessarily, one of those unknown X factor things. And you're like, oh, where did that come from? Something that could be brewing, within you and you didn't know about because you weren't going to get your routine screenings. So you want to start there with the script. from your PCP. Then, if you're already in Delaware First, AmeriHealth Caritas, or Highmark Health Options, then you want to get in touch with your case manager, case worker. Some people say it one, two, three different ways, but you want to get in touch with them. And then you want to be like, hey, I need some extra help, and then I'll talk to you in a minute about how to even navigate through that. But if you're not in the long-term care program, then this is what you want to do. You want to give Reliable Aid a call, because we're reliable for a reason. We're reliable because we actually help you navigate through the process. We're not the agency, maybe like many others, that just, say, hey, you're not in the program, so we can't help you. We have knowledgeable staff in the office, dedicated staff that are here to help you, so they want to get you into the program. So then, yeah, you can feel like you can start living life again. We get downtrodden and all of that kind of stuff, but here at Reliable Aid, we want you guys to live a life. We want you to live the best life that you can live. And sometimes you're not sure how to do that. So guess what? We are here to help you. So yes, yes, yes. So if you're watching me now, hashtag live or hashtag rebroadcast. If you're not, come on, y'all got to get with it, and get with it, okay? On this fabulous, fantastic Friday. So yes, as I was saying, if you're not a part of the long-term care Medicaid program, then, you want to get enrolled. So what do you have to do? You have to get involved. You have to get the physical. You have to get the script, from the doctor. And then you have to get enrolled in a program. So it requires an application. They ask you for some personal things. Don't be fearful. Hey, Mr. Keenan said 4627 hashtag live. Thanks for joining in today. I appreciate you. So yeah, don't feel like, oh my God, they're asking for too much information. They want my taxes. They want this. They want that. Those are routine things that they're going to ask you. But guess what? You can still stay in your home. You can still keep, some of the things that you have. They'll go through all of it in great detail, but I don't want you to be discouraged, thinking that I don't qualify because you may think you make too much money or you own a home. Let them, help you, with that, because, they understand that, yeah, there are some people that need help, because we all know the government might say that, what I mean, we make too much money, but their definition and our definition, it could be two totally different things. So yeah, don't just cast yourself out and throw it away thinking that you may not qualify, okay? Because you think you may make too much money or something, or they're going to take your home. So that is not the case, all right? So it is important, to get knowledgeable, understand what you're working with, and then work with a great team like Reliable Aid that's going to help you navigate through it so that you don't have to be frustrated. So then what? You can travel with your caregiver. Yes, yes, yes. So yeah, so then you want to, decide you need to get into Medicaid first. And then once you get into Medicaid, so you have to go to your local service center, again, fill out the application, give them some of the good stuff that they're asking for. And then once you're in Medicaid, you want to tell them in the beginning that you want to be in the long-term care Medicaid program. Because if you only get into traditional Medicaid, then there would be another step that you would have to do in order to get into the long-term care program, which is what qualifies you for our services. It qualifies you to get a caregiver. It can qualify you to have a family caregiver, and it can qualify you to travel. It can qualify you to live life. It can qualify you to get some help that you need, but not feel restricted where you just got to stay in a house and you can't do anything. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I hope you guys are staying tuned. I hope that what I'm telling you is helpful to you, because this is some great information. So don't forget, hashtag live, hashtag rebroadcast. Don't forget to subscribe and like our YouTube channel, because me and sometimes Mr. KC, it could be either one of us. It could be the dynamic duo. We have our Spanish multimedia liaison, Miss Atri, who gets on and speaks Spanish, talks about the same things that I do. So, we don't want to leave anybody out. We want everybody to be educated, and we want everybody to know that, yeah, you can do this. So even if you know somebody out there, who speaks Spanish and, is not really good with understanding English, let them know that, hey, yeah, Reliable Aid has somebody that can speak Spanish to you. You know what I mean? So you guys, we can understand you and you can understand us, and we can get it going for you. All right. So, yeah. So let's keep this thing going on this fabulous Friday. So once you get into the long-term care program, then they're going to assign you to a case manager. So if you're already in Medicaid and you do not have a caseworker, so does Reliable Aid help find out who the caseworker is? Well, you took the words right out of my mouth, Keenan Seth 4627. Yes, we do. Okay. We will help you. We'll just get some general information from you so that we can go into the system and we can find out which MCO that you're in network with. And then, yeah, we can give them a call and say, hey, I have Director Ivy here. Her date of birth is, yeah, I'm not afraid to say mine, 10/3/71. Okay. But yeah, we have her, and, she's interested in being a client with us. And we want to know if she's, a part of the program. And if so, we want to know who her case manager is. So then at that point, once they give us that, which they're very helpful and supportive in giving us that information, then yeah. So then what we do is we call the case manager and say, hey, we have Director Ivy here that's interested in being a client with awesome, reliable aid. And, we need to know, she doesn't know, she didn't know that you were her case manager, so he or her or she, will give the client a call. And then, yeah, that's how it all gets started. Okay. So then, yeah, they'll ask you some information. They have to actually come out and do their own assessment. So, don't get it confused. Like, well, Reliable Aid said that they do an assessment. Yes, we do our own internal assessment because we too want to be in connection with your case manager. Okay. So yeah, we stay in contact with them. We let them know that we come out and, and see you and support you. So yeah, you can give us a call at 302-689-3240. So if you're missing anything it is that I'm saying, please give us a call because we are here to help you. So yeah, we want to talk to your case manager. We want you to get in connection with your case manager because just like your PCP, the case manager is also your BFF. Because what? When it's time for you to travel with your caregiver, the case manager just needs to maybe put in a different address, you know what I mean, to where you're going to be staying. And then, yeah, you guys go on and travel. Your caregiver can still, clock in and out, so they're still getting paid. You're enjoying yourself. It's a win-win for everybody. And here at Reliable Aid, we love the win-win because when you win, guess what? We win too. All right. So, yeah, that is what it's all about. So, what do you guys think about that, huh? Who out there is interested or needs to know how to become a client through the LTSS program and be able to travel with your caregiver? Okay. Hashtag live, hashtag rebroadcast. Reliable Aid is here to help you. Now, I want you to understand sometimes as you're going through this process, now we are awesome and fabulous, and we have a great rapport with these managed care organizations. Like I said, that's Highmark Health Options, Delaware First, or AmeriHealth Caritas. So we have great relationships with them. And they also have great relationships with other home care agencies. But you want to be very specific and letting them know, I would like to join with reliable aid. Okay. Because they may tell you, oh, you could go with this one or you could go with that one. There are some other agencies out there, that say all kinds of things and do all kinds of things. And, we love everybody, but we know we are called reliable aid for a reason. We stand by what we say, we do what it is we say we're going to do, we operate in decency and in order. So, yeah, we want you guys to come on over, let your client, let your case manager know, I want to sign up with reliable aid. They'll send us over a referral. And then from there, that's where we come out and then we do our assessment. We go through our little questionnaire. We have some very, very knowledgeable and awesome quality coordinators in the office. They'll come on out. They'll either, and we have options here because we want to make it convenient for everybody. So when you give us a call at 302-689-3240, we even go over those options with you, then because, we want to make sure that you're not overwhelmed. We want to make sure that it's a good day, for us to come out and visit you, so we just don't, just throw it out there and say, hey, we're coming here, we're coming there. This is the day, this is the time. We give flexibility, we give options, because again, it's about you, the client. The client is the most important part in this whole thing when it comes to reliable aid, because at this point, you already know who your caregiver is because we've helped you through that. We've already helped you navigate through the process, so at this point, it's all about you. It's about your comfort level. It's about what you tell us that you need throughout the course of the day and the week. We don't dictate what we do for you or which services get done for you. We let you know as an agency what we're licensed to do. And then, the quality coordinators, they talk to you about that, so they'll ask you, what do you need? What would you like to see done throughout the course of the day and the week when your caregiver is here with you? And that's be it one of our fabulous caregivers or one of your family caregivers, So it is not about them. It's not about us, but it is about you, the client. The client is what matters to us the most. Okay. We put love and stock into everyone. I'll tell you, I've been a caregiver for a long, long time. My father had his first stroke back in 1996. Sometimes it just seems like yesterday. And I didn't really know how to fully digest it, and understanding that it was a lot, for him as well. So, as time went on, I'm just helping him. He was in a nursing home, so, and this is why I want you guys to know, had I known what I know now, had I known it back then, man, it could have been totally different, but he was in a nursing home, so of course very involved. My family and I, we're going out there all the time, because as the caregivers, and as the family, sometimes we have to be the voice for the client, because they can't always articulate what it is that they're going through. They can't always articulate the pain that they're in, or how they're feeling. So that's why it's really crucial when you are a caregiver, that you're really paying attention to your client, that you're hearing, what it is that they're saying, you're paying attention to them, you're doing your due diligence. So, my dad, he was, going through his thing in and out. He was having some strokes, on and off. So, and I'd been in the healthcare field at that time for probably about maybe 10, no, actually, I had not fully been in the healthcare field yet. But when I got in the healthcare field, I started learning more. I started being educated more, and it was great. And by the time I was fully through and fully vested in healthcare, I was really able to help him. But being a caregiver was extremely difficult because sometimes we have to take our emotions out of it. And then guess what? My dad passed in 2013. And 2 weeks before he passed, I found out that my mom had stage 4 ovarian cancer. Talk about, I got nothing. That's one of my favorite lines, y'all. Yeah. Hashtag, I got nothing. But yeah, I was like, OMG, what am I going to do? But, you know, um, y'all know I'm a believer. So through my Lord and Savior, you know, he definitely helped me get through, some things. Him along with my family, so I'm sharing this with you guys, even for the clients. It is important that you talk. It is important that you share. You need to share your feelings with your caseworker, because sometimes, if you don't share, your caseworkers can't really effectively and accurately, fill out the assessment to make sure that you're getting, the appropriate amount of hours. So some days you might can get up and wash yourself, or you know, um, make you something to eat. But if you can't do that on a regular basis, pain free, then that's not something that you can really do, that you can really tolerate. So when they're asking you these questions, you need to make sure that you're answering them, fairly, because if not, they may be like, oh, well, director, you said you can do this and you can do this. You're only going to get 15 hours a week. And then, I mean, you're saying, or I'm saying, okay. But at the same time, I'm like, 15 hours a week, what is that going to do? That's not enough. So again, it is important. You should always have support there. If you're going to have a family caregiver, it's probably good to have the family caregiver there while the assessment is going on, because most likely the family caregiver has been there with you, seeing what it is you can do and can't do. And then, they can help, answer those questions along with you. We definitely want you to have your own voice, but yeah, sometimes, you may not be thinking it all the way through, because their assessments, they're a little bit different than ours, but we just don't want you to feel overwhelmed. And they're running the questions down and they're expecting you to run the answers down. So again, if you have a family caregiver there, you might want to have them present. But again, it's always good to have support, because the other thing that you would want to realize is that, you know, um, sometimes reality hits, and it's like, wow, I really can't do the things, that I used to do. I can't wash and dress myself every day like I used to. I'm no longer working. Maybe I can no longer drive. Maybe I can no longer wash my clothes. Maybe I need a walker or a rollator now that maybe I didn't need before. So again, all of these things are real. you know so even that, yeah, listen, hashtag that's real, okay, because it really is. But it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing to feel bad about, but when you're in the long-term care Medicaid program and you're getting help with a caregiver through reliable aid, especially if you're in the state of Delaware, all of those things can help change your quality of life. It may not be the same as what you used to be able to do, but it doesn't have to be as bad as sometimes we make it out in our mind, or when we accept the help, which is humbling. Do we know what humbling means, y'all? Yeah. Yeah, hashtag we got to be humble. Hashtag we have to humble ourselves because we don't want to think, we don't want, sometimes we're embarrassed, and we don't even want others to know that we can't wash our back, or we can't wash our feet anymore, that we need help. We're embarrassed. Some are embarrassed to say that because, we may only be 30, 40, 50 years old. And who wants to sometimes admit that? But it's okay. We make it safe for you. We make sure it's a safe space, a safe place, a safe atmosphere. We have wellness people, that call. We have a pastor on staff with us. We have another wellness coordinator. They call, they check in with the clients and the caregivers. Yeah, how about that? I mean, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, semi-monthly, it's totally, up to you. But we just want you guys to know that we are here for you and for try to be every aspect, of your life. We cannot solve problems, okay? But we can definitely make the reality that is sometimes difficult, be a lot better for you. And that's one of the reasons why we're reliable, that's why we're called reliable aid, because we show up, we show up, our caregivers show up, our quality coordinators show up, our wellness team, shows up. We got people in the backdrop that show up. So, yes, you guys need to give Reliable Aid a call. Give us a call, okay? 302-689-3240. We want to hear from you. We want to be that support, for the client who, if you're through the long-term care Medicaid program, guess what? You can live a life. You can travel with your caregiver, even if it's a non-family member. There's some things that we have to do in the backdrop, but when you give us a call and you're on board with us, we can share those things for you. But it starts with you. Okay. So you got to give us a call, 302-689-3240. Hashtag live, hashtag rebroadcast. All right. Like us and subscribe to us on our YouTube channel. We are here for you. We have people almost 24/7, Hey, hashtag live. All right. We love it. We love it. Great to see you out there, Karen Reeves Samuels. I appreciate you. Absolutely. So, but yeah, we want to make the experience, good for you. Again, we can't solve problems, but we can definitely help you out. All right. So give us a call, 302-689-3240. We can give you all the tips, all the information about how to travel and be a client in the long-term care Medicaid program. Okay. Our clients are our top priorities. We're not going to leave you out there. You're not going to get on service and then not hear from us, okay? You're going to hear from us on a regular basis, okay? Because we have people that want to stay in contact with you to make sure that you're okay, all right? Again, we have quality coordinators that come out and do 90-day assessments, So because we also, consult with your caseworkers. So yeah, we want to give them that information because maybe what you were doing 3 months ago is not what you're doing now. It could have gotten a little bit worse. It actually could have gotten a little bit better because when you're getting the consistency, when you're getting the consistent care, the consistent support, the consistent motivation, then yeah, life becomes better. Your situations become better because sometimes, when we're the client, and guess what? I've been the client, all right? About 4 years ago, maybe going on 5 now, but they had to break my shin bone and shift my kneecap over. So I was out of work. They had told me I was going to be down. I was going to need some 24-hour care at first. And I was so used to being, the caregiver. I shared with you guys, I took care of my father before he passed. I took care of my mother before she passed. I've taken care of some of her, um, my aunts, some of my mother's sisters, that have, God has also called them home, been caregivers to people now. I've been a caregiver to some of the clients out there, okay? Because we're not too good. We're not dictators. We're out there with our team, we make it do, one band, one sound, but I had to become the client. And boy, was that a lot. I mean, I was like, nobody is going to be able to do this for me. Nobody is going to do it like I want it done. And it first came to the fact that I had to come to the realization that I needed help. So that's what I was sharing with you guys kind of in the beginning of this. Just the reality setting in that, wow, I need help. I can't do this by myself. And it's okay to say that you know so talk to us, let us know, hey, I need help and I need to know how to go about this. All right, so we have very knowledgeable people that are out there to help you. But once I realized and I came to that reality, with myself, that I needed help, you know my family, they got a team of people in place. I had my sisters there, I had my children there, and I didn't have to struggle. I didn't have to do it by myself. And guess what? You don't have to do it by yourself either. You can come on over to Reliable Aid. If you're in another state, we can't help you in another state yet, but you know, you can go to your local Medicaid office. If you're not a client, if you're not a member of Medicaid, then you want to ask them how to become, a member. You want to apply for the long-term care Medicaid program, and that is the start. So we are here to help you. We are here to support you. We help you navigate through this process because we want everybody to have a better quality of life. Remember, we can't solve all your problems, but we can definitely help you to get through your days better. Where you're not as frustrated, your anxiety is minimized, your depression, because those are real things, that we go through, something else that we don't like to discuss, but that'll be another one. So tune in, okay? Tune in because I'm going to talk to you about that as well, because we like to educate people. We like to let you know you're not in it by yourself. We all go through things. We've all been through anxiety and depression and frustration and feeling like we're all alone and we have to do these things by ourselves, but you do not. Reliable Aid is here to help you. And it first starts by giving us a call at 302-689-3240. Let one of our knowledgeable staff members get you started in this process. So what? Because what's the topic of the conversation today? Becoming a client in the Medicare LTSS program. And what? Being able to travel. Yes, you can do both. You can have a better quality of life. You do not just have to sit in the house every day and the caregiver's watching you and you watching the caregiver. You can go out, you can go to the mall, if and again, I'm saying that you can do these things within, boundaries, because you need to make sure that you have, you're in a safe place to do these things, that if you need some assistance walking, that you have the rollator or you have the wheelchair, but if you want to do these things and you're on services with us, you would have to call us and talk to us about it anyway. So at that point, we would say, hey, do you have this? Do you have that? We're going to talk to the caregiver. Does she have this? Does he have that? Because we want to make sure when you do go out that you're safe. So what? Hashtag live, hashtag rebroadcast, hashtag I'm a client and I want to travel with my caregiver. Absolutely. And we can talk to you about how to do all of that. So all you need to do is give us a call at 302-689-3240. So before I leave you guys, I always send out a word of the day. I always send my team, some daily motivation, because what? We need that as well. We need to be uplifting, to one another. We just need to send sometimes that one little word, or share that one little word that can make a total difference in someone's day. So again, that's what we're here for. So today's motivation is fantabulous and Freestyle Friday vibes. Walk in bold faith and let your light shine unapologetically. How about that? No limits, no fear, just favor, freedom, and that Friday fire. You've made it this far, so don't hold back now. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. If you tuned in, hashtag live. If you're watching it later, hashtag rebroadcast. Don't forget to subscribe and like us on our YouTube page. Again, this is Director Ivy coming to you live on this fabulous Friday. Give us a call at 302-689-3240, and we'll be happy to help you be a part of the long-term care Medicaid program and be able to travel with your client. You guys have a safe and blessed weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye.